As more and more women are going out to work, they face an increased risk of being subjected to some sort of sexual harassment. Nearly 60% of women have faced some sort of sexual harassment in their working lives. And sexual harassment at the workplace is not a new thing. Many women have faced that, but there are very few women who have raised the voice against this harassment or they have protested. If you find one woman raising an outcry, there are hundreds of women who are suffering in silence. Many women want to protest, but how they will go against it? How they will know that where they should go and register their protest? There are many questions regarding this issue, and today we are here to discuss and analyze on the issue of sexual harassment at the workplace. And to discuss this issue, we have two eminent guests here. Ms. Indrani Rai Medhi, she is the well-known columnist, writer, journalist and the assistant editor of the Assam Tribune. Welcome, ma'am. And we have Mrs. Nikita Barua, she is the advocate with Guwahati High Court. Welcome both of you to our studio. And we want that there should be more perspectives, more diverse perspectives on this issue, which is a very burning and a very urgent issue for all women. And for that, we have invited young professionals from all walks of life to be our audience and to raise questions. So welcome, audience, and you all are welcome along with the guest for our show Talk Time. Let me start with Ms. Medhi. Ma'am, what do you think? What exactly amounts to sexual harassment?
Okay, to start off, we media people start with something sensational, but sadly what I'm talking about is a sensational case which is true. Several years ago, I watched a movie on Bhanwari Devi. She was a Satin working in, I believe, Rajasthan.
A social worker?
Yes, a social worker, and she went from village to village talking about the rights of women, about healthcare. Now the men could not, the patriarchal men, they could not bear to see a woman, you know, awakening an entire village of other women to, you know, rise against their patriarchal rule, and she was brutally raped and murdered.
She was gang raped.
She was gang raped.
And the movie is actually based on a true story.
Yes, the movie is based on a true. Bhanwari Devi was the lady. Now, why I bring that, you all will think that this is rape and this does not amount to sexual harassment at the workplace. But what was Bhanwari Devi's workplace? It was the village, the countryside. So when we talk of sexual harassment at the workplace, we think of corporate offices, we think of government offices, we think of those enclosures. But Bhanwari Devi is a case I'd like to say is that even at the grassroots level, you have sexual harassment at the workplace. So what amounts to sexual harassment? I have some material which I would like to share with all of you and with the viewers. According to the Supreme Court definition, sexual harassment is any unwelcome sexually determined behavior, which is unwelcome. No woman welcomes that. And so this has been divided into certain points, and number one is physical contact. Number two is a demand or request for sexual favors, because women are very vulnerable. They seek, you know, promotion, they seek a kind of confirmation of their jobs. Then sexually colored remarks that women tend to, you know, either ignore and think that I'll get over this if I just ignore it and keep down my head. Now then showing pornography, nowadays you don't even need a TV set to show that. Any MMS clip, photos on the cell phone, those are enough. And any other physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of a sexual nature.
Okay, what you want to say is that sexual, when I ask the question, what amounts to sexual harassment, you mean to say that there can be three tabs if we categorize it: verbal, non-verbal or physical. Verbal, anything, okay, any sexual comments on the anatomy of the woman or the looks or the clothing, and non-verbal display of any kind of sexual visuals or something like that, and physical,
even gestures,
gestures, yeah. So coming to Mrs. Nikita Barua, as you're an advocate, let me put this question. What comes directly to the legal purview of sexual harassment? How would the law define what is sexual harassment?
See, sexual harassment as of such it was a landmark judgment. There was a landmark judgment in 1997. The Supreme Court passed a landmark judgment it was called the Vishaka case. In that, as of such, till now there is no law on sexual harassment. But after this, but this was a landmark judgment, because in this judgment, sexual harassment was considered as a violation to human rights violation. It was considered a human rights violation, which is a big thing, because prior to that it was not considered anything much. So now after this, the Supreme Court, knowing that there are no laws, it will take time to make a law, they gave certain guidelines which have to be followed, which is mandatory, which has to be followed by all the public sector and private sectors. Now, in those guidelines, they have defined what is sexual harassment. As Baido had said, whatever Baido had said, that is actually what the definition is. So I can read out, actually, if you want a definition, I can read it out. Now, when you say that a definition, for this purpose, sexual harassment includes some such unwelcome sexually determined behavior, whether directly or by implication. First,
it might be explicit, it might be implicit.
Yeah,
okay.
It can be physical contact or advances, it can be a demand or a request for sexual favors, sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, or any other welcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. It does not only entail that if someone comes and catches hold of you or touches you, it's not only physical contact. Lewd SMSs, anything which degrades a woman or her modesty, that is what amounts to sexual harassment.
So in total, we can say usually the perception, especially in India, is that because we are living in a patriarchal society, so we have this perception that until and unless a woman is raped, we can't say it is a sexual harassment. Okay, and even the passing the lewd comment, just now you said, or showing some kind of pornographic material, okay, we don't consider it a sexual harassment. Or even touching, or even just staring, what we say, up and down. If a guy is looking at a woman and up and down with an elevator eye, which we say elevator eyes, okay, we don't consider it lewd, because we think it's a part and parcel of a societal, patriarchal society. If you have dressed, and we put the onus on the woman. We put the onus on the woman, why you have dressed like that.
I would just like to interrupt you, Rinku. Films reflect reality, and sometimes reality reflects films. And when a mainstream movie, which I saw recently, initially when I saw the movie, it appeared to be like any empty-headed comedy. But when I got home, it got me thinking. One of the young protagonists, a lady, she is working in an office. She is a new intern. Right. She's very pretty. Now, her boss is facing a midlife crisis, he's divorced, and at once his attention goes to her, and there is a moment in the film which really annoyed me, and that was that there is another colleague of the girl who is not so good looking, not so well dressed, and she was saying that, oh, sir does not look at me like this, and the hero, he was saying that, oh, you don't deserve to be looked like that. I mean, you're not pretty enough. And this girl on whom his attention is focused, his other male colleagues also, whisper about a girl, ask him if he started dating her. And this young girl's achievements, her academic achievements or the work she's trying to do, that is absolutely trivialized. She just has a cosmetic, appearance in the whole setup.
Right, Ms. Medhi. And what I feel like what you are talking is, it's the onus actually, instead of putting on women, we should put on the society. Because a child or a juvenile who has been brought up in a delicate environment, he actually thinks women as a commodity, as a thing of entertainment. So ogling at a woman or staring at a woman, passing lewd gestures or passing lewd remarks is actually some kind of bravery. Some kind of bravery for a man, then he's regarded as a man. So let me put this question to Mrs. Barua. What do you feel? We can't erode, we can't eliminate the sexual harassment entirely until and unless we do something to change the society's perception against women.
Yes, exactly. That's the only way you can do. The society has to change, because sexual harassment as such we cannot define. I mean, we cannot point out. We can define it, but we can't say, okay, this is sexual harassment, this is not sexual harassment. Anything which degrades a woman, anything which degrades a woman. It something might degrade you, something might not degrade me, something might degrade someone else. It depends. To what extent anything can be outraging anybody's modesty.
And what exactly is the workplace? Because she herself, in the beginning she said, Mrs. Medhi, that workplace might be anything. So let me hear from you, from my audience, what exactly is the workplace?
Workplace can be any public sector, any private sector, it can be any institution, anywhere that a woman goes to work, honorary, on payment, wages, anything. That is what a workplace is.
And for a maid, a house is a workplace,
Yes.
right? And definitely, even a maid requires that kind of dignity
workplace, any
where she
workplace.
can
And
work
safety.
productively.
Safety.
So, what do you think, Mrs. Mehdi? Because if there is so much of sexual harassment going around at the workplace, okay, the woman won't be putting herself totally and do some kind of productive work. So, her psychologically she is affected. So, what do you have to say on this?
Okay, if a woman is psychologically affected, the very reason why a man makes sexual advances against a lady colleague, that also has a psychological explanation.
Right.
Now, like psychology at war with the male and the female, now usually who are these men who make these advances? It's not everybody, it's not all the
At
men.
the workplace,
Yes,
yeah.
at the workplace. Besides the family background, besides the moral values with which a man or a woman grows up, sexual violence, you know, all these are signs of a person with lower self-esteem.
Right.
Somebody with an inferior complex. Nowadays, you've seen, we cannot generalize, but you can see that women are striding ahead in all fields. Women are highly focused because it has been quite late that we have been given an opportunity to work, to prove ourselves. So whether it is academically, whether it is professionally, I am so happy to feel that women, we are surging ahead. And then there is this office set up, whether it's government or corporate, suddenly they are flooded with women who are working harder, you know, who are talking less, who are not idling their time so much. And so these men suddenly, you know, they feel that their
insecure.
authority, you know, is being,
Has been questioned,
has been
has been-
eroded,
yeah.
and, you know, they cannot prove that they are better workers than the women. So they intimidate these women with these. It is not always, you know, a sexual desire as such. It may be a means, a weapon to intimidate the women,
subordinate
to,
them.
to subordinate them, and to an extent to
shame
force
them.
them out of the workplace.
So, as you said, she is psychologically affected. Okay. So, can a woman in India, if she is psychologically affected, she has not been touched or she has not been physically violated, but because of these kind of subtle sexual harassment, she has been psychologically affected. She can't work properly. So, can she take this issue to the court?
See, basically, it is a fundamental right. When sexual harassment, each incident, let me start by explaining to you how this became such a big issue. It started off with an incident in Rajasthan where this social worker was gang raped. That went on to a separate criminal proceeding, but each incident like this results in the violation of your fundamental rights. We all have fundamental rights. Now, Article 14, Article 15, 19(1)(g) and 21 of the Constitution, these are certain fundamental rights, mostly which guard against sexual harassment. Okay, so now what we're going to say is, one of the logical consequences of such an incident is also the violation of victims' fundamental rights. For Article 14 is equality before law. Equality before law, the state shall not deny to any person the equality before law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. Then Article 15 is prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. So nothing in this article shall prevent the state from making any special provisions for women and children. Now Article 19(1)(g) is the protection of certain rights regarding freedom, etc. All citizens shall have the right. In this case, it is 19(1)(g) to practice any profession or carry on any occupation, trade or business. So if any of these any of these rights are violated, that is a fundamental right. We have a right to it. And Article 21, there is also protection of life and personal liberty. So any of these, then we have the constitutional remedies.
So you want to say that even if she feels that she is psychologically affected, she can take this.
Yes, she can.
She can go and approach the court.
Yes, she can.
Okay, so we have a very lively audience here, and they're waiting for asking question. So can we have a question from here?
My name is Manjula Devi.
Okay, you work
मैं
here?
आपको ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि जब हम काम के बहाने बाहर जाते हैं तो बस में हम जाने जाते हैं, उस समय वो जेंट्स लोग जो है ना इतना नजदीक आते हैं और मैंने ये कहना चाहती
You
हूँ-
are working,
Yes.
right? And you said your name is?
Manjula Devi.
Manjula. Manjula, you have asked a very rightful question because this sexual harassment starts when you just go out of the safety of your home. And what she's asking, and whom you are asking this question?
Medi mom.
Okay, to Mrs. Mehdi, right?
Okay.
Mrs. Mehdi, what she's asking is that
Yes,
the
I
moment she gets a bus, okay, there also this sexual harassment, okay, getting closer, then this is that. Why
That is
this
what,
happening?
from a girl from, 12 years to a 60-year-old woman can face. It is very bad. And it comes within sexual harassment at the workplace, because on your way to work when it happens. So it is a part of your daily experience of trauma. So it is very difficult. People keep on saying that we should have ladies buses. In fact, there are trains which have ladies compartment. But recently, you have seen a case when a young girl, she fell off the tracks, and a man with one arm, he again jumped down and raped her. Now, this is an issue that you have to tackle at the root. When it happens, you just raise your voice. There is no other way. You cannot pretend problem will not go away.
Usually in the bus, what we see, Mrs. Mehdi, that girls somehow feel they are guilty. They have actually invited this kind of gestures.
No, but
and this is the society which actually tells them.
No. I think, sorry, but I'm going to disagree with you, because many years ago, it depends on the girl or on the family or how, she's aware of her rights. Many years ago when I was, appearing for my class 10 exams, I remember that on my way home on the bus, there was a young boy who tried to, block the way, to my getting down. Something like that. And I just took out my scale from my bag and whacked his hand. See, and this was in the 70s. This was in the mid-70s.
Mrs. Mehdi, you said right, as you said, it's actually about the social upbringing.
And you should be strong. You should not think, what is society? Society is this vague mass which will not come to your rescue. They will not save you. They will only point fingers. So what is this society you have to keep in mind? Just protect yourself.
Very rightfully
whether it
said,
is verbally, whether it is physically, go and learn taekwondo if you have to.
Very rightfully
That's
said.
what I
And I was actually meaning that the total perception, the existing perception is that women should not actually raise these petty issues according to the society, I'm saying, according to the society,
Don't be
which
trapped
believes
in
that onus is on the woman. She is the one who is inviting these kind of things, but in reality she is not. And as you said, you did this thing in the 70s,
Yes.
so why can't women of today? They really want to do that, but let me,
And I think society supported me in the sense that I did very well in my exams. I don't want the society to approve me for not hitting out at a boy. I want society to approve me for the work I am doing.
Definitely. So let us take another question.
Yeah, you have, my name is Vijayalakshmi Borua. I would rather say that each and every woman is not there to learn taekwondo.
Right.
At certain
No, that
point of,
was just
an example, of course. Now, if a woman has been sexually exploited, later on it is the family, the well-wishers of her, who tend to protect her by telling that there are some places you can go forward to. It's the media, there's the police, and lots other organizations. But when the problem is brought forward for such kind of groups of people, the tables are turned for that woman. Everything is pointed out towards the woman itself. Now, how to tackle this situation? Thinking about the psyche of that particular woman, because the media is always there for the advertisement of the woman. We are not there for the advertisement of her. Now,
Very rightly said, and the question goes to? You would like to ask this question to?
I would prompt not a single person over
Okay,
here.
let me ask this question to Mrs. Berra. What you feel about this thing? Again, the question is pointing towards society, and she has raised the issue of media, which sometimes sensationalize the issue. What's your take on it? What do you feel about it? She was asking about sometimes media sensationalize the issue.
No, I think I would like to ask, tell something else as a kind of
And I was actually looking at the woman thing.
While you picked that up, I'll just answer a bit of
Okay, I can go ahead.
You know what I'm saying is the psyche of the woman is wounded, and the society blames her, or even the family gets into a lot of trouble because of that. So in what I think is that, certain NGOs which work for women, they should have a hotline, a helpline, a certain number like 108 for our help. They should have a hotline in which women who are working and are harassed, they can immediately dial that hotline, maybe not to get legal or police help at that moment, but to counsel. To counsel that, you know, how you're feeling, and, you know, don't worry, just talk to us if there's a trained counselor at the end of the line. Because it also happens sometimes a woman is driven to the point of suicide. You know, it happens in unbearable, I'm not talking of the minor one. So I think if you know, nowadays there are so many ways, like if you have Childline, why don't you have a hotline for working women?
Yeah, that's where I was actually coming to you, and I think before the show I discussed with you that there should be some kind of, grievance cell is there. Grievance cell is there in some kind of corporate sector or
but let
in
us be
government
specific.
sector. Yeah, but do you think some kind of training would help? What do you feel, Mrs. Barua?
See, actually speaking, there, according to the guidelines, we always talk about, if we talk about the guidelines, there should be there's a complaint committee which should be set up.
Okay.
Now, every public sector organization, every private sector organization has to have a grievance. It has a complaint committee, and it has to be headed by a woman, preferably
Consisting
a lady,
of women and
a
headed
woman.
by a
No, headed by a woman, and one half of the members, according to these guidelines, one half of the members should be women.
Okay.
And preferably they should have a third party, that is an NGO or some other organization, working also in that complaint committee, because then there's no question of any superior control or
We
something.
will come to this training part. Let me take another question from here.
My name is Gitanjali Devi. जब किसी औरत के साथ सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट होता है तब पहला कदम क्या होना चाहिए?
Okay, Pehla Kadam, what she has said that if a woman is sexually harassed, okay, what kind of step, the first initial step, what she should take? Up with this, I want to add my question. Do you think some kind of proper training at a workplace is necessary, especially nowadays?
Of course, proper training is necessary, and I think, you know, the workplace, the employers should, you know, after giving the appointment letter to any lady, there should be a kind of orientation talk, a kind of orientation of what to expect when they are working. That does not mean that they will point out this certain colleague, male colleague is dangerous, not in that way. But to ask her, you know, I am not saying that we should put the blame on ourselves, but I think women, if they have to succeed in life, have to behave in a very professional manner. So that involves, even if the company is not giving you a dress code, you have to stick to certain dress codes. You have to tone down your makeup. These are very practical tips which I am just thinking of. You have to keep yourself, you know, smartly dressed, but at the same time modest, covered.
Yes. What you want to say is that by toning down the makeup and all, you want to say that it should not be suggestive.
Yes,
suggestive,
it should not be
not
suggestive.
inviting wrong things.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that women should just completely go away and don't do makeup.
And never on any account try to win the favor of a male superior through any other means except your work. If you are very professional, you will get success in life, you will get recognition. Don't show your desperation. The minute you show you are desperate for something, whether it is a promotion, whether it is some presentation, then is the signal for the men to come in and try. Don't make yourself a victim. And also, you know, regarding this field, you know, you should also look after yourselves a lot in the sense of health. You have to psychologically, you know, strengthen your mind, be positive, think rationally, less emotion, more reason, and most of all, take care of your nutrition, take care of your overall health, so that when a kind of crisis comes, you're there to face it physically and mentally. And never indulge in double talk, never lay bare your private life. Never say who you are dating, what is happening in your life. Never share these details. Have a separate compartment for your private circle friends, and colleagues are colleagues. Be nice with them. Shared office camaraderie or whatever. But beyond that, do not divulge details of your private life.
Very rightly said. What Mrs. Medhi wants to say that be professional in your work, in your talk. and the way you look at the person who might be your senior or your immediate boss. And you should not share your personal stuff with him, and don't go overboard. And if suppose the boss is taking the office discussion to some sexual discussions, stop him immediately at that moment, because if you don't raise your voice, as you said, if you don't raise your voice at that moment, if you don't stop him, he will say that he will think that it is your consent.
And later he will say it was consensual.
Yeah, consensual.
And then you will not be able to say. And another thing which I had read on the net is that, if this kind of harassment starts, it happens once, twice, thrice, keep a diary of how frequently it took place. If some messages were sent to your cell, keep a record, save those messages, because you will need proof later on. Just saying won't do, as she will tell you, you need proof. And so, keep those evidence with you.
Again and again, we are coming to one conclusion, that it is the society which has to change its attitude towards women. Okay, it has to be a little respectful.
No, I'm afraid I disagree. It is women who have to change the society, not...
It is the women who have to change the society, but society as a whole have to change, as a whole.
No, but if
including
we
men.
wait for that, we will all become grandmothers by the time it happens.
Okay, let me put this question to Mrs. Barua. What do you feel? Should we include sexual harassment, the subject, as a subject in the school curricula? Would it help in changing the mindset?
Yes,
Because it won't happen in one day, as you just now said.
Yeah, it won't happen, but has to be brought slowly, yes. Because in India, basically in India, it is always felt sex was a big deal. It still is. It's a very taboo topic. Nobody talks about it. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not about. Fine. But girls, lot of girls take it's sexual harassment. They don't realize what exactly is sexual harassment. You have to know. You have to be taught what is sexual harassment. They might think, oh, he's flirting with me. It's not flirting. He has different ideas in his head. You might, oh, he's passing. Actually, he's passed a lewd comment.
Very rightly said, only because we are short of time, I have to stop you here. Very rightly said, we have to stop him at that moment and say that, okay, I understand, let's talk business, don't go beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, all the participants and our guests. And I want to say to my viewers that as more and more women are coming out of their house to work, so the law have to be stringent, and the implementators of the law have to be strong and sincere enough to implement those laws, so that the women get the right respect and her dues promised by the constitutions. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, viewers.